Republic of Mauritius. There is a lack of documentation on when the island was first discovered. It is therefore difficult to know the exact date when and how those events took place. However, the fact is clear that the Arabs were the first to occupy the island in the 10th century. They called the island Dina Arobi, which means desert island. Documentation also shows that the Arabs were followed by Malaysian tribes. The island's history has a number of European nations attempting to settle on the island. We will examine these through the Portuguese period, the three Dutch attempts at settlement, the French period in 1715, and the English period. The island during the Portuguese period. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to visit the island at the beginning of the 16th century when they named it Ilha do Cime, which means Swan Island. However, the Portuguese did not settle on the island, but they used it as a port of call and as a source of fresh food as they were committed to protecting their trade with India. The history of the island under the Dutch period. The Dutch were the first Europeans to visit the country in 1598, and they renamed the island after Mauritius of Nassau, the Prince of Orange. The Dutch after 1600. In 1630, the Dutch first settled in the country to prevent the French and the British from occupying the island. The first settlement was established by the Dutch East India Company. The purpose of these colonies was to send ebony trees to Holland and Batavia. Tobacco, cattle, and poultry were produced to provide fresh food for the Dutch ships on their way to market in India. Later, large-scale agriculture was attempted with sugarcane, domestic animals, tobacco, indigo cane, and rice, but the attempt failed and the farms were badly destroyed by a cyclone in 1644. The Dutch after 1700. Around 1710, the Dutch returned to the island and tried to settle again. They had skilled men with them such as blacksmiths, sawyers, carpenters, brewers, and tanners. Once again, the difficult weather conditions on the islands did not spare them, and they abandoned the island. The French period. After the departure of the Dutch, Mauritius remained unoccupied until 1715. Settlers began to come from the island of Bourbon and from France. The Dutch East India Company became the government, and roads, a large civil and military hospital, shops, warehouses, and canals were built by slaves from Mozambique, who would eventually teach the settlers how to cultivate the land. The English period. After the war between the British and the French in 1810, the island fell under British rule. Most of the former French settlers remained on the island, and slavery was abolished in 1835, with Indian indentured laborers replacing the slaves and were brought to the island to work on the sugarcane plantations. Most Indians eventually settled in Mauritius, where they constitute the majority of the present-day population. Independence of Mauritius. Mauritius gained independence on 12 March 1968. The country decided to be guided by a constitution based on the British parliamentary system. After several years, the island gained economic and political stability and became a republic in 1992. The people of Mauritius. The people of Mauritius are descendants of European, mostly French settlers, the Franco-Mauritians they are called, African slaves and Creoles, the Afro-Mauritians they are called, Chinese traders, the Sino-Mauritians, and Indian laborers, the Indo-Mauritians. The population consists of Hindu, Muslim, and Christian descendants of Indian laborers. Mauritian Creoles, who are the descendants of Africans, make up about 28% of the population, and today a significant portion of the Creoles are of African descent with varying amounts of French and Indian ancestry.